Right, welcome back everyone. My name is Anna McAuley. I'm here to demonstrate to you multiplicity, and as you can see on the screen here, this was the last one. So if you didn't do this step, go back to the previous video or find this video first and do that, because this one's slightly a little bit harder than the previous one. So now we're going to be looking at how to manage when things are overlapping. It's easy when you're doing it where the object or the animal or the person is not overlapped. It's much easier. But if you do happen to take, and it's easy to take things that are overlapping, and it can look quite good as well, I'm going to show you the next step. So I'm going to start again on this image. So I'm going to go to, I'm just going to close this one off, and then I'm going to go to File, Scripts once again, load files into stack. So that's the important part. Remember, loading files into stack puts that into your layer palette all nicely and saves you having to open up everything individually. Then we're going to go to Browse. I'm then going to find some images here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this one, and so we're going to have this one overlapping, this one here, this one here, this one here. So it's going to go okay. Let's see. I have a feeling now these are going to be overlapping a little bit, so I'm going to show you how to deal with that. It's all doable. So that's now opening up. Great, so they're now opened. You can see how I've got the layers stacked there. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to check on my which one I want as my template, which is on, always put the layer on the bottom, and you can do that by clicking and moving around. So it's going to drag that one, making sure that's the one I want on the bottom, then checking that one, and then that one. So I have a feeling that some of those are going to overlap slightly. Alright, so remember what we did last time is that we went and we did a layer mask. So we find that as the third one along, click your layer mask there, it's come up here, beautiful. I'm going to check that I'm on white, so I'm going to use these arrows here to go to white, so making sure that that's on white, don't need the colour picker. And then I'm just going to click on my eraser tool here, and I'm going to check that my opacity is on 100% up here. Once we're all ready to go, I'm making sure I'm on my layers mask there, and I'm just going to make her disappear. Abracadabra, here we go. Making her disappear. Once again, am I being really careful? Absolutely not. Don't need to be. Why? You can see that pasta's come up again. Why? Because we made it easy by having a tripod, and we kept the exposure the same. Also just want some of that layer mask in there. It doesn't look like there's too much overlapping at this stage. So the second thing that we're going to do is I'll just turn the eye off there. We've got this one now. Same one again. What do? We go to a layer mask, click on it, make sure it's on the white here, and making sure we're on our eraser, making sure it's on 100%. And do I have to be careful? No. And I'm just going to rub that out. So then we're going to see if it, you can tell if it's going to overlap, because what it'll do is it'll expose the layer underneath wherever I'm blacking it out. And you can see now how I'm starting to expose the other layer. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with black, and I'm just going to take, black, and I'm going to take that off again as much as I can. So now this is where you have to start being a little bit more careful with going on and off. So I'm just going to go back to white and add that touch in there. Back on. Oh, there's a fine line between doing them. Alright, right, I'll leave that for now. And I also wanted to add some of the shadow in, but I just wanted to check. No, I can't, because basically I just clicked the eye off. Her whole face is over that shadow, so there's no point in me going on. So now what I'm going to do is just click on the eye on all of them. Remember what we did? We clicked on our mask and we inverted it. What was the shortcut? Got it? Control I. So go Control I, and you can see how that's shortcutted there. So it's now put the image up. So that's easy. Great, fantastic. It's now made black to white, white to black. and it's selected, basically blacked out the background instead of her. Going to do the same here. What do? Control I, fantastic. And now we're looking at multiples, and you can see how we've got some overlapping happening. And at the moment, it doesn't look very realistic. She looks like she's a half-eaten dog. So what we're going to do is we remember to always leave the background layer, leave that one as is. You're not going to touch that. So don't start trying to erase things out of that, because we want that to be our foreground. So now what we're going to do, this is why layer masks are great, is that we're going to edit some of the things. So with this here, I need to rub out some of the background of Nina. So I'm going to, instead of being on white, I'm going to click over down the bottom left hand side. I'm going to make sure it's now on black. I might blow it up a little bit too, because I like to sort of see what I'm doing. And I'm just simply pressing Control plus. I also hold my space bar down. Can you see when I hold my space bar down? It gives me a hand. And I'm holding it down, and I leave my space bar down, and I click on my mouse, and I can drag that up. So I like to put that in the middle rather than it being over here. There's no point to that. So then I'm going to lift that up. So now I've got a better detailed version. I'd probably even go a little bit more detailed than that. I might just go up a little bit more. So again, Control plus, holding my spacebar down. So now I'm on black, and I'm on this first layer here. And I'm going to start by undoing what I've done. So actually I have to be on white, don't I? So, sorry, because I inverted it. So now I'm going to add her in here. Now I've got multiple things happening, so it gets, as I said, it's a little bit trickier. I also just want to make sure that my brush is hard here, because I won't want it to, oh, maybe not that much. And I might even make my opacity down about 56 or something. I might make my brush a bit smaller as well. I'm right clicking to get that brush template. Alright, so now I'm on my layer mask here. I might just take the opacity down on this layer so I can see her better. So all I'm going to do really is rub out along. Now you can be much more careful than this, but this is just to demonstrate. You could go up much closer, but I've made that opacity down so that we can get all those lovely layers in there. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So I'll take the opacity back up. Okay, fantastic. And then I'm going to do the same on the second one. That probably needs a little bit more tweaking, so obviously I'm just going to might go up to 100% now. And you can see how I've got a black line around. It's not ideal, so what you can do is spend a little bit more time. Now that's not rubbing out there because it's in this layer here. A little bit more time. Just going to turn the eyes off, so you can see how it's getting a little bit trickier, so we need to make sure that we've got the right thing. And here, where it's back, I might go back to black. So all I'm going to do is go back black to white, white to black. Then I'm going to go Control minus. You can see what we're looking at here. She needs a little bit more on the, so making sure it's on here. So on the back, I'm going to just rub that out. No worries there. Bit of her shadow. So you can see how it's a little bit more fiddly. Again, that's not ideal. We could spend a lot more time working on that, but it's not too bad. So we're going to go to our second one now, turn that off. And same process, I'm clicking on this layer. I'm going to add some whites to that to get rid of this here. Again, I'm going to blow it up, Control plus, spacebar to move it around, and I want her ear. So I'm just going to take that down so I can see her ear. So I'm right click then, I'm making that a lot smaller. And I might even, yeah, well, we could do a little bit more detail with that, so you get your brush quite small and go into all of that. take the opacity back up, and we can see that that's coming around now. This is rubbed out a little bit too much, so I'm just going to go back to black. So all you're doing is toggling between black and white, white and black. Just go a bit small, right clicking to get my brush sizes right. So depending on how big your print's going to be, so I'm just going to control minusing then. And now we've got 3 images, but you can see how it's a little bit more tricky, that you've got to spend a little bit more time toggling between the black and white layer masks first to get that right. So would I be happy with that? Not really. It needs a little bit more work, and but you get the idea in terms of how to do that. So that is where you're doing overlapping. So is it much easier not to overlap? Yes, it is. But sometimes it can look quite cool if you do a lot of overlapping. So particularly if we say add another 4 or 5 images into it, then it starts getting more and more tricky. The more things that you put in, the more harder it gets. But if you start off simple, start off basic in terms of it, you will soon pick up. All you're doing is adding black and white onto your layer mask. What do you do once you're happy with it? Well, then you're going to flatten it to make sure that it's one layer again, and then tweak your levels, tweak your colors, whatever you need to do. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video today.